Greetings, everyone. Today is January 31st, 2024. My name is Patricia Hopkins. Today, I will be reading a chapter out of my book, written for preteens, Invasion of the GLOBOTS, written under my pen name, P.T. Hopkins. And this was actually written back in 2014, so it's interesting to make note of the dates. So just chapter 5, A New Reality. Please enjoy. "What the?" exclaimed Zap. He spun around to the source of the voice. A Hispanic boy, around 12 years old, stood before them, shining a pen-like flashlight into their surprised faces. His long, dark hair hung well past his shoulders. He wore a pair of cut-off jean shorts and a well-worn t-shirt. "Shh! Don't say a word or they'll hear us. Follow me." He turned and walked towards the safety of the darkness. CJ first glanced at Zap, and then he pointed the ninja commando towards the boy. The action figure didn't make a move. They believed they were safe. Zap scooped up his skateboard. He and CJ followed the mysterious boy into the darkness of the warehouse, down 2 flights of stairs, and into a well-lit hallway where dusty cobwebs clung to the ceiling. "When did you guys get here?" asked the boy. "Today, a few hours ago," replied Zap. "They almost saw you, huh?" Neither Zap nor CJ responded. They just continued walking. "Well, I'm Hector." "Hi, I'm Xander, and this is my little brother, Chris. But you can call us Zap and CJ. Cool names." "Thanks." CJ stared at Hector. "So, Hector, where exactly are we?" "At least this place doesn't seem as scary as being outside," he thought. "Don't ask me, Cool Braze. As far as I know, we're still in San Antonio. Follow me. I'll introduce you to the others." "You mean there are more of you here?" asked Zap. "Counting the 2 of you, that makes 15. Hector opened the double door and motioned for the boys to enter. The large open space was filled with makeshift chairs and beds. A corner of the room was cordoned off to be used as a dining area. 10 boys and 2 girls were gathered around a television set, watching a show featuring those weird-looking creatures. Most of the kids looked up when the boys entered the room. However, none of them seemed to be surprised at the arrival of 2 more kids. A petite black girl, about 10 years old, hopped down from a stool to address the boys. Her thick hair was held together by 2 braids that rested on her shoulders like ropes. She wore a pair of glasses that seemed too big for her face. They were held together by a piece of duct tape in the center. She carried a magnifying glass in one hand and a smart tablet in the other. "Everybody, this is Zap and CJ. They just got here today." Hector made the introductions. "Hey, what's up? Cool. How you doing?" "Which one of you had the bright idea to go down the portal?" asked the girl, looking from Zap to CJ and back again. She held the magnifying glass up to both boys and peered through. "This is Chobani, the brainiac of the group. She's been here about 6 months," explained Hector. "Chobani?" CJ laughed. "Like the yogurt?" She shrugged. "My mother couldn't get enough of the stuff when she was pregnant with me. Could have been worse." "That's strange. Our mother used to eat that kind of yogurt too, but she said it was new. I remember her clipping coupons." Zap looked perplexed. She crossed her arms and asked again, "So, like I asked earlier, which one of you is to blame for you guys getting stuck here?" CJ pointed to Zap. "Figures." Chobani went to a bin and selected 2 apples. She tossed one to each of the boys. "Thanks," Zap said. He cocked his head towards the other. "What's their story? How long have the rest of you guys been here?" Chobani answered, "Hector has been here for about 10 years. Jeff and Riley, the twins, have been here less than I have. Everyone else, between 1 to 6 years." "That long?" asked CJ, wide-eyed with fright. "Calm down. It's not bad after the first few weeks. You kind of get used to being here. No school, no parents telling you what to do. You can eat what you want." Hector pulled his long hair back, securing it with an elastic band. "Yeah, As long as you stay inside when it's night and avoid the GLOBOTS during the day, it ain't so bad, interjected Jeff. The lanky, red-headed teenager was mostly arms and legs. Even on a good day, he probably tipped the scales at only 100 pounds. His identical twin, Riley, joined the group. GLOBOTS? Asked CJ. Yeah, that's what we call them, explained Riley, because their skin looks like those glow-in-the-dark necklaces, and it's hard like the metal used for robots. GLOBOTS don't like the sun, so most of them only come out during nighttime. I think they come from outer space. The only ones out during the day are the patrols, kind of like policemen. The patrols are the scariest, and the ones we try to stay away from. The rest of them act just like people, explained Hector. Are these GLOBOTS like people? CJ asked Chobani. You mean like us? She shook her head. Not like you might think. I mean, they eat, sleep, breathe, and sweat. But from what I've seen, those aliens are nothing like us. But I think they try to imitate us. Chobani pulled out her smart tablet and started moving screens around. Hey, can I see that? Asked CJ. Sure. She handed the tablet over. Interesting. Your tablet has a miniature built-in solar panel. I don't think I've ever seen this model before. Is this new? CJ studied the tablet closely. What do you mean? This model is almost 4 years old. My mother refused to spend thousands of dollars on a new one, so she bought an older model. Zap took the tablet from CJ. He's right. I researched many different models when I wanted one for Christmas. I've never seen anything like this. He frowned at Chobani. She shrugged again nonchalantly. So? Zap furrowed his brow and asked, I'm curious. Just how old are you? I'm 11. Why? What's wrong? 11? Really? When is your birthday? Asked Zap incredulously. February 28, 2013. Zap and CJ exchanged looks of disbelief after doing the math in their heads. It's 2013 now, CJ exclaimed. That means you're just a couple of months old. What are you talking about? The year is 2024, she corrected him and rolled her eyes. Well, I got here in 2003, added Hector. Maybe it's still 2003. Wait a minute. Either you guys are from the past or I'm from the future. Chobani took her tablet back and began punching in numbers. Maybe you're all wrong. Plus, I don't really think it matters what year it is. We don't age. Look at me. I've been here for 10 years and still look the same. Well, except for this hair that never seems to stop growing. I should be 22 years old by now, Hector remarked. So where are we? Does anyone know? Zap looked around the group only to receive several shrugs and, I don't know, from the group. A small black and white dog that looked like a cross between a Jack Russell Terrier and a sheep herding dog padded up to Zap and CJ. It sniffed both boys meticulously, checking them out for danger. CJ reached down and scratched behind the dog's ears. She perked up and began licking his hand. Hey, I think she likes me. Yeah, she's a good old dog. Her name is Lulu, and she's the reason I'm here, said Hector. Really? What happened? Asked Zap. Hector sat on the floor and propped his back against the wall. Lulu lay down and rested her head on his outstretched leg. All eyes were now on him. Every year, we went to a family reunion at my grandma's house because she lived right next to the Riverwalk. There's lots of fun stuff to do down there. So anyway, Lulu chased a squirrel across the street and over into old man Grayson's backyard. I was afraid of that house because everybody said it was haunted on account that Mr. Grayson shot his wife and then himself there. Anyway, Lulu ran through a hole in the fence. I went in the yard to find her, and that's when I watched her dive into a hole. I went in after her, and we've been here ever since. Did you ever try to get back home? Asked Jeff. At first I did, but every time I tried to go back through that pipe, either those GLOBOTS were there shoving dead bodies through, or water was pouring out of it. or the Mogs were on patrol. Eventually, I stopped trying. Lulu and I found this old abandoned warehouse, and we've been living here ever since. Dead bodies? But I thought you said those things aren't alive, Zap said. Chobani interrupted. They shrink-wrap the dead GLOBOTS in sheets of blue plastic and put them in a special container on the streets. The elimination patrols pick up the bodies and blast them through the pipe with a mixture of liquid nitrogen to break down the bodies. They don't have any particular schedule, only when the water isn't flowing. Zap chuckled. Sounds like putting out the garbage to me. Exactly, Chobani agreed. Gross. All that crap in the backyard of that house was GLOBOTS body parts? CJ pretended to vomit. I actually touched that stuff. Got to get rid of them some kind of way. She refocused her attention on the tablet, but kept on talking. Hector and I have watched the elimination patrol for months, and I think I have it figured out. I think that pipe is a type of portal, a way out of this crazy world. When the water isn't pouring through, I think we need to go check it out. How do you know this? Asked Jeff. Look at how many of you came through that way. I'm the only one who came through the portal at La Valita. Maybe you're right. But how do we avoid the Mogs? They're always out during the day. Jeff pondered her observation. CJ asked, sorry to interrupt, but what the heck is a Mog? It's those things that fly around through the air on those scooters. We call them Mogs because they look like a cross between a monkey and a dog. I think the GLOBOTS made them out of spare parts or something. Hector laughed. They're kind of dumb, so it's easy to hide from them. Chobani explained. From what I have determined, I believe the Mogs are the result of an experiment gone wrong. The GLOBOTS most likely crossbred two animals and ended up with the Mogs. They must be using them for a specific purpose. Zap looked over at the group, watching television. How did you find the others? Mostly by accident. The GLOBOTS don't go out much during the day, so that's when we search for food. That's also when we find others. A couple of kids like you guys did just happened to come to the warehouse to hide from the aliens. What about you, Chobani? How did you end up here? Zap glanced over at Chobani, whose attention was still focused on her tablet. Jeff nudged Zap and shook his head. That's kind of a sore subject, but I'll tell you how me and my brother Riley got here. Cool, replied Zap. We're not even from Minnesota. We're not even from San Antonio, dude. We're from northern Minnesota. This was supposed to be a family vacation, but me and my brother decided to go exploring and ended up getting lost. How long ago? Asked Zap. 3, maybe 4 months. Jeff, tell him about when the Mogs caught you guys. Hector laughed. That was hilarious. Like I was saying, me and my brother Riley were downtown sightseeing with our family. We had just left the Alamo, and my little sister wanted to go on the Riverwalk tour. After the ride was over, my parents decided to take my sister back to the hotel because she was tired. Riley and I begged our parents to let us walk the Riverwalk by ourselves. At first, they didn't want to let us go. But since we had just turned 13, Riley convinced them that we could take care of ourselves. You guys must have been scared, CJ said. Not at first, but somehow we got turned around and took the wrong street entrance and ended up in front of that same house Hector just described. The house sat all by itself at the end of the block. It was all boarded up and looked like no one had lived there for a long time. There came a really loud noise, and we noticed a bunch of shiny green flakes floating in the backyard. We got curious, so we decided to go check it out. We snuck into the backyard and saw green scraps shooting from a pipe. Riley chimed in. Jeff dared me to go on the pipe to find out where it was coming from. I told him I'd only go in if he followed me. When we got through on the other side, we ended up back at the Riverwalk. At first, we thought we could just walk back to the hotel. That's when the Mogs saw us, explained Jeff. What did you guys do then? Asked CJ, mesmerized by their story. Picked up a bunch of rocks and started throwing them at like crazy, explained Riley. Problem was, we didn't see their backup Mog patrol. They shot us in our backs with the rays from their stun guns. One blast from those things and we were both laid out. Despite the danger they had been in, Jeff now thought the situation was hilarious. They dragged each of us to their Mogmobile and strapped us on the back like a sack of taters. We flew a couple of miles and they landed over in that park by that big tower thing, said Riley. That place where they hold festivals. Hemisphere Park? Asked Zap. Yeah, that's it. Anyways, once they landed, I gave Jeff the signal and we hightailed it out of there. Oh man, those stupid Mogs were running around like a bunch of monkeys looking for bananas trying to find us. We knew we had to get off the street because it was getting dark and those freaks were starting to come outside, so we looked for a place to hide. At first, we knocked on doors hoping someone would let us in. That was before we knew about the GLOBOTS, Jeff explained. Yeah, I remember the first time one of those things came to the door. Jeff screamed like a little girl. Riley held his stomach because he was laughing so hard. Dude, I didn't know what those things were. Huge heads on top of those skinny bodies that glowed in the dark and eyes that looked like a fly's. Me and Riley took off running and ended up down here by these warehouses. That's when we ran into Chobani and Hector, pulling a wagon filled with food. We explained what happened and they offered to hide us. Yeah, it was just us and a few other kids at the time, mostly younger ones. Between the two of us, we take pretty good care of the rest. Hector patted Chobani on the back. Your turn, Chobani, remarked Riley with a smirk on his face. Leave her alone. She doesn't have to talk about it if she doesn't want to. Hector defended his friend. No, it's okay. They need to know what happens if they do get caught and can't escape. Chobani sat on the floor, surrounded by the 4 boys and Lulu. She sighed. You guys with both parents are lucky. I never met my dad. He died over in Afghanistan before I was even born. The Army transferred him to Fort Sam Houston when my mom was still pregnant with me. Dang, that must have been really hard to not have a dad, CJ sympathized. I suppose. Well, after he died, my mother decided to stay here in San Antonio to raise me and my 2 older brothers. Growing up, I was always very curious. My brothers used to tease me and call me Little Miss Detective. I carry this with me everywhere I go. She held up her magnifying glass and smart tablet. I know what you mean, Chobani. My skateboard never leaves my side, said Zap. My Ninja Commando and Super Space Gun are my favorite toys, CJ added. Lulu never leaves my side, Hector replied. Jeff and Riley looked at each other. We brought our boomerang frisbees with us. Looks like we all brought along something or someone important here with us, Zap observed. Go on, Chobani. We're listening. It was just another typical summer day, very hot and very humid. So my mother decided to take us to the riverwalk to swim. Yuck! You guys actually swam in the river? It's like a toilet down there. CJ held his nose. Not until 2023 it isn't. They cleaned it up years ago and designated certain sections for swimming. When we were playing underneath the waterfall near La Valita, I looked behind the water and noticed this fluorescent green stuff hanging in what I thought was a cave. A swimming pool in the Riverwalk? That's too cool, declared Zap. Anyway, I told my brothers that I would be back after I had explored what was behind the waterfall. So I stuffed my things in my backpack and went inside. What I didn't know was that 2 little kids had followed me in. What happened to the children? Are they here? Asked CJ, looking around. No, they're not. As soon as I made it through to the other side, I was surrounded by GLOBOTS and Mogs. I ran and got away, but when I turned around to look to see where I was, that's when I saw those kids get taken. It was a little boy and his sister. They're probably 5 and 7. All I seem to remember is their scared cries and screams for help. What happened to them? I don't know. The GLOBOTS took them away. She sighed. I wandered around for days trying to find those kids. That's when Hector found me and brought me here. That must really suck for them. CJ mulled over the thought of being taken by those creatures. Chobani looked at the boys and said, and that's my story. What are those things? And how did they get here to San Antonio? Where are the real people? Asked Zap. The older boys shrugged because they had also wondered the same thing. Come here. I want to show you guys something. I did a search on the aliens and this is what I discovered. Chobani pulled up a website on her tablet and showed it to the guys. The headline on the newspaper was dated September 30th, 2016. It read, Space Aliens Invade United States. You mean you can still get internet service? Asked CJ. Yeah, you'll find out that nothing is as it seems here. Things that we brought with us have special powers. I suppose being able to use my internet in this crazy new world is the power of my tablet. She pointed to the article. I think this is where it began. Listen. With a swipe of a finger, the article came to life. The animated reporter read, These creatures first appeared in a widely known part of North Korea known as Area 47 several years ago. It was first speculated that these aliens were peaceful beings that would successfully coexist with humans. And for years, they integrated seamlessly into the lives of the local villagers. That is, until it was discovered that some of the aliens had developed a peculiar taste for human flesh. Gradually, humans in and around Area 47 slowly began to disappear. I don't know what's cooler, having aliens land or being able to get internet service in this crazy mixed up world, CJ replied, fascinated with Chobani's tablet. Years later, the alien population on the Korean peninsula exploded, leaving humans vastly outnumbered. After the aliens realized their food source was rapidly being depleted, their leaders decided to wean the creatures from humans to a plant-based diet. Unfortunately, humans are still considered to be delicacies and are hunted as such. As of today, the aliens now outnumber the human population on the peninsula by 10,000 to 1. In many small towns, human beings have been pushed into hiding. The aliens have gradually spread to other countries and arrived in the United States about a year ago. Mostly, they exist in small towns with small populations where their presence will go undetected until it is too late. As a result of this alien invasion, small groups of heavily armed humans have developed alien-free safe zones to protect their families. The camera panned to an angry man firing a gun at one of the aliens. He shouted out, "If you come near my family again, I'll blow you back to where you came from." Zap let this realization sink in. According to this article, aliens have been living here for years and are now slowly taking over the world and are getting rid of us humans, one by one. That's what it looks like, added Chobani. Hey, that guy's gun looked just like my space ray gun. CJ pulled his toy from his pocket. He started to pull the trigger. No, don't. We don't know what it may do. Chobani grabbed the gun from CJ's hand. What's wrong? Asked Zap. CJ became alarmed by Chobani's outburst. Any inanimate object that we brought with us through the portal has morphed into something different. For instance, the lens in my magnifying glass changes to yellow when someone is lying. That's why I asked who was responsible for getting you here. I knew it was Zap, but I wanted to see if he would tell the truth and not blame it on you. And even though Lulu isn't an intimate object, her hearing and smell are totally awesome. Way stronger than before, Hector exclaimed. The word is inanimate, Hector. Maybe it works for stuff that came through with us. What do you guys think? Now that you mention it, my skateboard can fly, Zap admitted hesitantly. We noticed that when we play with our boomerang, it flies faster and further than normal. Isn't that right, Riley? My ninja commando points his gun out when those things get close. I guess it's kind of like a GLOBOT warning system. Dude, your skateboard can fly? Can I try it? Riley asked, reaching for it. Zap pulled his skateboard away from his outstretched hands. I don't think it works that way. I believe whatever you brought with you will only work for the owner. Here, try my magnifying glass. See if you can tell that I'm lying. Chobani handed the glass to Riley. Though he was skeptical, Jeff complied with Chobani's request. My hair is purple and my eyes are orange. I am 15 years old and I have a cat named Gus. Riley held the magnifying glass up to Chobani's face. What's supposed to happen? I don't see anything weird, unless you count your funny-looking face, he teased. She snatched the glass from his hands. That's what I'm trying to tell you, dummy. My stuff won't work for you and vice versa. So you think I'm the only one who can control my space gun? Can I try it now? Please, please, please. CJ, let's wait until we're outside since none of us know how or if it will work. We don't want to draw attention to ourselves, Zap explained to his little brother. Awesome, I can't wait to try it out. Who knows, maybe they have zombies out there that I can practice shooting. Won't that be cool, Zap? Yeah, it'll be cool. Zap sighed, remembering his mother's disdain for CJ's overly enthusiastic zest for killing zombies. What's the matter? Aren't you excited too? Look, Chris, I don't want you to get too comfortable with all this shooting. Even though you probably have the most dangerous weapon, I only want you to use it when we really need it, okay? All right, I'll only use it in emergencies. Though slightly disappointed, CJ nodded his understanding. He pulled his action figure from his pocket and placed it on the counter. Thankfully, it didn't move an inch. It's getting late, said Chobani. I'm going to sleep. See you guys tomorrow. She picked up her things and quietly disappeared behind a curtain in the back of the room. Riley pulled Jeff aside as he kept eyes on Zap. He whispered quietly to his brother, I want that skateboard, and you're going to help me get it. And that concludes Chapter 5. I hope you enjoyed that. Please continue to visit my website at www.patriciarhopkins.com, airplanes, and purchase my book on Amazon or Barnes & Nobles. Thank you and have a great day. Peace.